In this tutorial, we are going to do a little modeling and add 5 textures onto a simple room. So we're going to start off by organizing and saving, downloading some 3D image textures, and then we'll move on to actually creating the room with loop cuts and extruding. So it's going to look something like this when we're done. It might look a little bit different than this. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And before I do anything in Blender, I actually want to jump into my Finder. And the big thing is we want to get something set up. We're going to download some images. So wherever you have this at, you can be on the desktop. I've got a Blender folder. And I need to come over and create a textures folder to start saving my textures. So over here I've got this little textures folder, and if you don't have one already, just right mouse click and go to new folder, and then I've just named it textures and then go inside that. And then I've already got a bunch of textures, but to download textures, probably the easiest way is just to do a search for what you want. So if I want like a wood texture or a grass texture, whatever it is you want, do a search for that. And then you can find all kinds of ones. Don't just save this. Click on it to make it bigger. And then you're looking for a texture that hopefully is above 500 on the pixels. This one's 1600 by 1600. So I just kind of made it so I can see both at the same time. And I'm just going to click, hold, and drag, and just drop that right in there. And hopefully that will show up. So there's my texture. And I like to rename these just so I know what they are. So grass, and it looks like I already have a grass up there, so I'll name it grass 2. So it should be a JPEG or a PNG. Those are your best files. So find about 5 textures. If they're seamless textures, sometimes those will work even better, so you don't get into some tiling issues. So this is a seamless texture, and you can do that too. Okay, so once you have that, the other thing that we want to make sure we have is we want to save our document in the same area as where our textures is. Not inside the folder necessarily, although you could, but you don't want to save your textures in the downloads and then have your document on the desktop or some random place. So we want to make sure that we get the document saved. So I'm going to jump into Blender and do a File, New. So I've got the file, and I just kind of reset this. And then I'm going to do a File, Save As, even though I haven't done anything with it yet. And locate where my stuff is saved at. So I'm going to go into my Blender folder where I have my stuff. And then down here, I'm just going to type in what I want it to be. So 5 textures, room 3 is what I'm going to name it. You can name it just whatever you want to, but I have some other ones. That's why I'm saving it that way. So I have it saved. Now I'm going to move to the next part as soon as I verify that. So let me just double check. And so yeah, there is my Blender document, and there is my textures. Because what will happen is it'll look inside that folder for my textures. If for some reason I decide to delete this or move those textures somewhere else, then the model won't have those textures on them anymore, and it shows up pink usually. So make sure you organize from the beginning, not after the fact, so that you have this good to go. Okay, so I'm going to create a simple room. Go to Edit Mode, go to Face Mode, and I'm just going to click on one face and press X. Click on another one, press X to delete that face. I want to stretch this out a little bit, so I'll pull it out to the side maybe here. And then maybe grab some edges. So hold down Shift to select and just pull it out just a little bit, just to make a simple room. So now to dissect it, I'm going to press Control R. And as soon as you press Control, you'll get this yellow line showing up, and you just got to, depending on if you want it horizontal or vertically. So I'm going to set up kind of my windows. So left mouse click and just kind of position it to the top of my doors and windows, probably right about there. And then Control R again, and maybe where the bottom of my window would go. And then now dissect a little bit more. So Control R, and kind of place that, Control R, and place that. And you can also do this over here. So there's loop cut there. And so if you click on that, you can just click and just kind of position it. It's jumping a little bit more on me, so I kind of like using just the hotkey. And if it does jump on you and it's like, oh, that didn't go where I want it to go, to reselect one of those loops, hold down the Alt key, and then you can just move it around to where you want it to go. So Alt, and kind of move it around. Let's see, I'm going to do another Control R, and just kind of maybe make another window in here. So Control R. That should be fine. Okay, so I've kind of got my layout. I'm going to stick an island in the middle here. So I'm going to go to Extrude. So first off, get into face mode. And if you select on one face and then hold down Shift, you can select multiples. And then I'll just press E to extrude and pull that up. So get that about where I think it should go. Probably around there. And then E to extrude again. So now I kind of have my tabletop. So, and then the last thing, I want to just create some frames for maybe my windows. So I'm going to click on one. And this guy right here, this is a great one to create frames. So Insert. And then I'll just kind of click and drag. Go over here, click and drag a little bit. Try and get those just the way I want them to. And then click and drag. And then the last thing is just go to select those and extrude them out a little bit. So Alt to loop click, loop select, and then E to extrude. Alt, and maybe I'll do Shift Alt to select both of these, and then E to extrude, just to get a little bit. And if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. So now I've got kind of my windows ready. So I'm going to go ahead and just save this again to make sure it's saved, and then I can move on to the next part.